to this Johnny Majors under the bus when Johnny had his heart attack?
He did.
He got.
He
He
did.
did the dump.
He did, and he's come back. You know what? He's been the biggest cause of the problems they've had down in
Fuller.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 90s, right?
It was back in the '90s, but then you turn around, and then he was the one that pushed the old coach out, and then brought in his guy, or he got appointed athletic director. Then brought in this guy after his first few games, gave him a big contract extension, and the guy was a horrible coach. And then they all got fired.
Johnny won a national championship.
Yeah.
There, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he had a heart attack.
Yeah, and because he played, he'd had a heart attack, and then he was an offensive coordinator. I don't know, a defensive coordinator. Phil Foreman was.
Right, I can say Phil was coach for him.
Yeah,
worked
and then
out
he was
good.
coaching for him, and then he basically interim, and then as soon as he interim, he took that knife and said,
It worked for him. He won a couple of titles.
he won one.
Did you just won? With Peyton?
No, didn't win it with Peyton. Won it 98 with
Got a year, buddy.
After Peyton.
year after Peyton.
Wow.
In fact, he never beat Florida with Peyton Manning.
I knew that. I knew that
You're
stat.
just blocking everything
We were
out.
talking today about Tennessee, and I said,
wish I could
we've
do
lost
that.
a lot of games in Tennessee that we shouldn't have lost.
Where I said.
It's time that they lose one to us that they shouldn't lose, and that'd be this
She
year.
said it a couple times.
We need to beat them this year.
But we got to beat Florida this weekend, and that's our kryptonite.
Florida? It'll be a fun game to watch.
I'm going.
Are
Shouldn't be
you?
too much trouble.
It's our kryptonite, Robert. You can
beat
put the
Florida.
bad news Bears out there in
Because
Florida
Florida,
jerseys.
because
and we
Florida
find
could
a
have
way
lost
to lose
two of those
them.
other games real easy.
Well, that kind of like Mississippi State's our kryptonite. We just can't beat them. We can go down and beat South Carolina. I don't care how good they are. We can go down there and beat them every year, but come back.
Sort of like Tennessee and Kentucky. Sort of like Tennessee. and Kentucky.
Tennessee has been for years, but no, we beat Tennessee recently.
You beat us 3 times in 30 years.
I know, but I was just saying we beat them recently. Tennessee's a team that we need to need some karma on. We need a couple of makeup wins.
Boy, what about App State? Appalachian State.
Happy State, yeah.
Did you see that? Well, they beat Texas A&M, but did you see the next week's game? They were playing, who was it? Toledo or somebody, and they threw a 60-yard Hail Mary, and a guy smacked it, and the guy ran through it, picked it up, and ran it in to win the game with no time expired.
I'm not a big A&M fan. I don't like anybody to beat them.
Oh, I do too. I'm not a big fan of Jimbo Fisher.
Me either, no.
Usually a lot of the bigger coaches that are good like that, nobody likes them except their own fan base.
I just don't like his style.
We got 3 dudes. We got run, sir.
Hello, guys.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, Michelle, sure we can
I knew
start
you didn't
now.
beat me. I was over there. No, he said, we said Shakira home while we go together. Oh. I said, I'm gonna beat you back, and he said, I'll beat you back, and.
Getting the county attorney?
No, you're right. I
Guess
haven't
so.
been, you're right. I haven't been doing
Alright.
anything.
I guess so. I hadn't heard it either.
I ain't hadn't talked to him
I hadn't either.
I feel the love.
in 2 weeks probably.
Yeah, she said I could.
I don't think I've talked to him since last
I was, girl.
week, which was last
No, I had
week.
the refrigerator over there.
No, I think there's a public comment, I think, presentations.
Chief, how are you? Has it? Did y'all get the? I think I sent you and Alan emails on those different grants. Did y'all get them?
I haven't looked at the email in 2 days.
Well, it has been a long week.
It's Keiko.
And turkey.
Keiko grants, I think there was a Keiko grant.
Turned it off.
Safety grant.
That ain't been the primary focus right now. But I'll take a look at it. Keiko Green. Well, why? That's last year,
I'm gonna wait, get
Like
my,
tomorrow, it's gonna be in the sixties or something, and
yeah, I think you're right.
Just easy.
I think we're just gonna get smacked tomorrow. Hello, sir, how are you?
Okay, right now. It could change.
It could change within 5 minutes.
Sign orders.
Me?
I guess they've got everybody's signature on.
Oh, I got you, I got you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, will we give them copies of it before we?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, man.
William came to me, so,
So it's William's fault.
I didn't know I had them.
see, look, 30 seconds, and you've already messed up, no?
I better get started before
We
it
ain't
gets
even
worse.
started yet.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Clark County Fiscal Court meeting. We appreciate those of you that have taken your time to be with us tonight. I'm going to ask if you would please stand, and I'm going to ask Pastor Ryan Dotson if he would come forward and do our invocation, and then please remain standing for the pledge. Pastor.
Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before your throne of grace and mercy on this beautiful fall day that you've given us. Lord, we just ask you, as decisions are made and things are being talked and discussed, God, we pray that your favor would be upon every decision. Lord, there's so many people hurting still in eastern Kentucky. And Lord, we pray for our neighbors to the east. And Lord, we ask you to help them to rebuild and to regroup. And Lord, I just ask, Father, for our community to be touched. And Lord, that you would use our officials, Father, to make a positive impact and difference in our community. And God, we give you the praise, we give you the honor and the glory. And we ask it all in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thank you all. Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate that. I kind of caught him impromptu a while ago, and I usually try to schedule someone, but thank you so much. Okay, at this time, we'll call our meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Measures Graham.
Present.
Thompson.
Here.
Constantopoulos.
Present.
Lanton.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
And Elkins.
Present.
Okay. This time we have public comments, and we do have our representative, State Representative Ryan Dotson. You have the floor, sir.
I want to take just a moment of your time. I want to thank you, Judge. Thank the Fiscal Court for allowing me just a few moments to indulge. I'm here in an official capacity as State Representative this afternoon. We are very blessed here in Clark County to have such a wonderful organization that does not only take care of our community, but they take care of other communities. And we've seen that during the tragic flooding of eastern Kentucky. And it was through the exemplary leadership of Alan Curtis and taking our road department, Clark County Road Department, back to eastern Kentucky. I want to thank you, Judge, for giving them that permission to do so. And I've asked that they come here this evening and honor them publicly because they didn't have to. These men and women, they done it out of the goodness of their heart, and they spent time up there and made a difference in Pike County, which is my home county. So I have some citations to give out this evening. And I'd like to ask Alan, if you would, to come forward. I'm going to read the citation out loud, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
Citation of appreciation goes to Alan Curtis from the House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky for his exemplary service as the Director of Clark County Road Department, a position he has held since January of 2019. Mr. Curtis, a native of Clark County who grew up in a military family and lived in many different places, returned home in 2006 and worked in the maintenance department for Clark County Public Schools for 10 years. Before that, he served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps and several years in the Army Reserve and Navy Reserve, and he worked construction with the Seabees. Okay, During his time as director, Mr. Curtis has made efficiency a priority, striving to pave more roads each year, and has also implemented first aid and safety training programs for employees who might encounter accidents on roadways. Inasmuch as Alan Curtis succeeds in both his ability to lead and his knowledge of construction, the members of this august body are delighted to join Representative Ryan Dotson in offering him sincere commendation and gratitude and extending to him best wishes for future safety and success as he continues to most ably serve his fellow citizens. Thank you, sir. And real quickly, I'd like to ask Brendan Ballard to come forward. From Commonwealth of Kentucky. Thank you, sir. B.J. Brandon. These are all the gentlemen and ladies that went to Pike County, who went above and beyond. Thank you, B.J. Bill Jones.
Where's that shirt at, Bill?
James Woosley. Kevin Crawford. Daniel Talbot. Jerry Miller. Thank you, sir. Melissa Hall. Thank you so much. I got one more. And he didn't have to do it, but he did. And he saw the need and he jumped on board, and I'd like to honor William Elkins as well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I never dreamed of that, but I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, these guys got caught off guard. I kind of done it out of surprise for them. And this one here, you can hang up at the office out. It goes for the department. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Representative.
Judge, after they take a quick photo, I would like to just share just a couple of words.
Okay. We saw you back in the truck, remember that? The road department, he wants to get you all up front and take a picture. Matt, we're gonna get them all together for you.
Judge, while they gather around, I want the folks to know that, you know, at 5:30 wake up. One night, several nights, the motel is 58 miles away from the job, so it's 116 miles round trip to bed. 5:30 wake up. Nobody had to rattle the door to get any of these guys out of bed. Bill Jones is up before every day. I don't care where he's at. Another day, you know, another 2 or 3 days, 30-some miles away down in Northern Virginia. Same thing, 5:30 wake up. These guys and gals worked non-stop, and I'm telling you, when they got to the yard in Pike County, Kentucky, to start their day, everybody else was kind of milling around, just showing up to see what was happening. These guys had already moved 56 miles, 58 miles for their job. So, hardest working bunch of people I've ever seen. I've seen people work that hard, but nobody work any harder. I am extremely, particularly proud of these employees.
Congratulations.
They don't have to stay if they don't want to.
They might want to see what we say.
They might.
Okay, magistrates, continuing on. You have minutes of the September 14th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate Blanton, second by Magistrate Davis. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys and gals.
Thank you, Ron Dodson.
You have a transfer order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Elkins, second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have a bills list.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we have a presentation by our HR Director, Janet Townsend. Janet, you have the floor.
Thank you. I think you all need citations for listening to me talk about payroll for a year.
We'll be waiting for it.
Okay, I just want to take a few minutes tonight. I'd like for us to make a decision which way we want to go. And what I want to kind of back up and do, and I don't think I've conveyed clearly the process in which I go through to get every new hire in, term, the benefits, and as in the past 4 years, it's kind of just evolved into everything's on my desk, it's on my table, it's on my plate, and it's up to me to do it. So I kind of want to tell you where we are. So when we talk about payroll, I'm not just talking about a payroll service. I'm talking about the comprehensive payroll programs. So I just kind of wanted to fill you in where we're going. So right now, the current process. And improved payroll solutions, we do have a onboarding platform that is done through what we call pay entry. 80% of our new hires now come in, they send me the email, I send it to the employee, they do all the onboarding, most of the onboarding information is done through a digital platform. We still offer the hard copy. So when we have an employee that says, hey, I don't have an email, I don't feel comfortable with doing it, they fill it out, they bring it to me, and I put it in the old-fashioned way. And then once we get them in, we do it multiple ways. We have an app. They have a pay entry app. There's stubs out there. They can change some just contact information. They can see what their deductions are, so they have a general view of what their paychecks look like. And then an additional step, I have to put them separately into the time clock system. So in order for them to clock in, whichever method they choose, I have to put that in. So basically, we have two apps for two processes. But we have time clocks, we have the desktop, and then we have the Now, the HR system is another aspect that was created, and it was here when I came. It was in place when I came in 2019. This spreadsheet was created by a former employee's spouse who is extremely gifted in programming Excel. And it's been functional, but it's going. There's a lot of bugs in it. We didn't write it. We don't know how to fix it. So we're kind of limping along with this process. So something will have to be done. So I enter that information again into this program in order to generate the necessary information that we need. Then we also have another tab, which is the same program, that will generate the reports, the new hire, termination reports, the anniversary reports when we do pay increases each month, the department reports. I'll have our department, the road department, somebody saying, hey, can you give me a department list? So then I utilize that program to give them the department list. And I gotta make sure that all the information that was put in payroll is also accurate, because they're looking at pay rates. So they've gotta be the same, or before I bring it to the court, they all need to be correct. So we also have just a county list. Judge Branham says, can you give me a county list? So I can take it to the court so we can look at the comprehensive plan of compensation. So that's where I get it. So when we get to this place, that we can get to the benefits, if they make it that long, we have a good part of those employees don't even make it through the waiting period. We have a very high turnover situation right now for lots of reasons. But many times I can get them in, and before the payroll period is over, I have to take them out. So if we're good, if they can get to the benefits part, then I have to do a manual entry for each benefit enrollment. I have to meet with them monthly. And then I have to gather the forms, the hard copy forms, and then I enter them into Anthem, and then I enter them to UNOR, and then we take it from there. And for some reason, we're still losing people even after, I can't tell you the number of times I've got them into that system. And before the month is over, they're gone. Now, we are self-funded. Our plan documents say the last day of employment, their insurance ends. So I can't let it wait. I've got to take them out. So if they get that far, I still have to go through that process just backwards and go and take them back out. It's a lot of work. single-legged city, and I'm not willing to take that chance with the county. I've talked to, the city multiple times throughout the last 9 months, even up to last Friday, talked to the payroll person. She said they're just not able to do it, and they're looking. So I think it would be in our best interest not to consider them. I like them, I like the rep, but they're not gonna, I don't think they can meet what we need them to, what I recommend that we should do. And I have talked to Nelson County, and the city of Bardstown. They both use ADP. Had a good conversation with the HR person in the city of Bardstown. He said they use ADP and they have finally gotten the fire department time system manageable. I'm at the opinion there's no payroll provider that's gonna do it perfectly. There's either gonna be something up front that we need to do on my end or at the back to make sure it happens. He said that they finally did it. He said it took a while. But they're able to do what I think we need to do and the direction we need to go in. So I'm gonna say, I recommend the centralized human resource management program. I'm looking at it from a comprehensive standpoint. I'm not looking at just the payroll. Payroll is just a portion of what we're doing. I think ADP can streamline, not just for me, not just for the utilizer, whoever's doing that position, but also for the employee. To have multiple apps is confusing for a new employee. ADP offers the one app process. You go through ADP, they onboard, you do your time in, clock out, all the things through one app. I think it will increase efficiency and accuracy. Multiple entries lead to multiple mistakes, even especially if one person is doing it. And it will expand our reporting option. We need reports that reflect. I'd like to be able for, if you call me 30 minutes before the meeting and say, hey, I need to know the turnover rate for whatever department, I should be able to get that for you and have it on your station when you get it. If we need to look at your overtime in a certain department, that should be a quick reporting. We shouldn't have to wait for days to get it and not sure that's what we need. And again, the one-stop app for all the functions that I think is important for a new hire and for onboarding. And then I think the benefits platform is something that we have to really consider. They do partner with ADP, USI, our brokers. They have been very happy with that relationship. That's the same process the employees will go to their phone, whatever platform they use, and they'll get all the benefits information and they'll enroll online. Now there'll be some backside of it, nobody payroll provider can do that for you. There's gonna be some work that you have to go into. It's not gonna be just seamless and it starts here and I don't have to touch it. That won't happen. But they do have the video. There's a video available through the USI that says these are your, it will be details that specific to us. This is what you have. These are your options. This is how you enroll, and they give that information. So now compare the cost between Payroll Solutions and ADP. So right now I'm estimating, I think I'm underestimating, but in all fairness, that Payroll Solutions, I think I'm spending 75% of my time just on onboarding, turning, getting people in payroll, getting them out, and getting them in the benefits. That's the bulk of what I do. And I believe that your HR director can help you in other areas too. Your recruiting, retention, and things that I'd like to be able to help in those areas as well. Take some of the HR issues off of the supervisor so they can do what they do best, and I can support them in what I feel like I do best. And the average cost per payroll through Payroll Solutions is $330.45 per payroll. And then there's additional costs at the year for ACA and W-2s. ADP, that's the projected time. I think it'll flop. I think it'll switch. I think I can spend 25% of time on the onboarding, new hires, terms, and benefits, and 75% on it, trying to address some of our HR concerns that we have. The per payroll is $792.22, and then of course there's the implementation fee of $1,500. I think you're already spending the money. I think we're spending it in the wrong place. I think we really need to look at this system and make sure that we're doing it the best that we can for the money we're spending. And my recommendation is that we do go ahead and make that switch. I like to, it won't happen overnight. This is not an easy process. I don't take it lightly. Employees won't be happy, supervisors won't be happy for a while. It's gonna take a lot of work. I've got some long days ahead of me, and early mornings. But I think in the long run, it will be beneficial for everybody. And, I think in 6 months, we'll look at it and say, hey, it's working, this was a good idea. I think in a year, you're gonna say, we should have done this a long time ago. What worked for us 10 years ago is not gonna work for us now. And what will work for us 10 years from now is not what we're doing now. But we just need to kind of get back up to speed and address the issues that I think is the HR director that we have. Okay. So I'm asking that we do switch. My recommendation is that we go to ADP. I've thought about it. I've asked. I've done my homework. So I'm gonna leave it up to you if you have any questions.
Janet, did I understand you correctly? Did you say that on the systems, so basically you're enrolling each employee 5 different times?
If I do it, the manual entry for a new hire, if they do onboarding, I don't have to, I would say that would not count as an entry. I do some adjustment, but not much. And that's rare. We're looking at maybe 20% of the new hires will do it with the hard copy.
But then you still have to go enter it into the Excel spreadsheet and enter it into the benefits.
Yeah,
So the new system, you're basically gonna enter it in once, and that's it.
All that will flow over.
It'll all within that one platform. And then each employee that has 2 or 3 apps now will only have one
Have
app.
the one.
Notice the end of the year filings for payroll solutions is almost $2,000.
Right.
Does ADP charge anything at the end of the year for the filings?
That's in with their per payroll, that's
see.
already included. I didn't separate it because if you look at, I did bring their.
That's incorporated in the
It was
790.
yes.
I got you. I understand.
Any other questions?
Other questions, comments? Yes.
You said some employees don't use an app, they do it about how many, and do you expect that to continue if you go to this new system? How would you do that? How would you overcome that
It
obstacle?
would still have to put it in manually, the way we're doing it now.
So
I would hope, and as we move down this line, that we do make sure we do direct deposit is mandated. I think at some point we say you have to do onboarding through an app. There's very few employees that don't have an app. I mean, it doesn't have a phone, but we work with that over time. We're moving in that direction. I'm not gonna cut anybody off. But if the worst case is that the apps don't work and we have to do it manually, then we do that.
Can they have access to it through a desktop? So let's say they don't want it on their phone, but they have a computer at the office. They can access it
They
through
can.
online.
And I want to clarify something because I don't want to mislead you in any way. The time clocks that we purchased through Payroll Solutions, I haven't gotten a confirmation back from Logan, so I'm not going to say it's 100% confirmed that they can use the time clocks that we've already bought. So that is a factor, not when we come back here in a month and say, oh, we have to buy the clock. I don't want to do that. He said that he thought that they could because they're very good about adapting, but that's not a yes to me. That's a maybe. So I don't want to say that. But I do think we need to move toward the mobile clocking in and out, especially with the departments that we have that can get called out. Road department gets called out all the time, our department, whatever the case may be. But you can also clock in and out on your desktop. The Payroll Solutions offers that as well.
So how many employees do that?
Clock in and out
On their phone or
well, I don't know how many would do that.
90%, 50%?
50/50 at this point.
50/50,
I mean,
okay.
at this point, we don't have the fire department set up
I got
with
you.
time clock system, so it'd be hard to say. I use it on occasion if I have to go out. I mean, it's very easy to use. It's, I think it's much, you have to keep up with the fob if we went in that direction. And the fobs are the ones, we buy, they lose them, buy, they leave, and buy more, who knows? So.
Okay, the floor is still open. Any other questions, comments?
I'll make some comments, Judge. I don't know where this is gonna go, but,
Okay.
8 years ago, when I decided to stop doing my payroll myself, I went to ADP, and it was an absolute nightmare for 5 months. And luckily, that's when I met Payroll Solutions and Stuart Taylor. And 30 minutes after I called him, he was sitting in my office, and he came in and salvaged me, and I've been with him ever since, and they do an absolutely phenomenal job. ADP, I was lucky when I needed help to get somebody in the same time zone. It's a huge company. I'm a proponent of supporting local businesses, and I know Payroll Solutions isn't right here in Winchester, but one of their owners is, and they're in Lexington, and when you call somebody, you get somebody in Lexington. And you did an excellent job on this presentation, and I appreciate it. And I'm not trying to cut you down in any way. I'm just being honest with you with my experience. You know, you're right. The one thing you said that I completely agree with is none of these are going to be perfect. And there are hurdles in each and every one of them. But that's just my 2 cents. ADP was an absolute nightmare for me. You'll probably never see the gentleman that's selling you ever again once you sign a contract. That's just the way they work. So they are huge, and I'm sure there's people out there that are happy with them. I don't doubt that for a second, but I was not. It was a nightmare. They caused me a lot of problems, a lot of issues. And Payroll Solutions has done a very good job for me, and I want to support locals, so I'm of the opinion that we stay with them.
And I will say, if we were a smaller organization, or we had a much lower turnover rate, we could make this work. But the state that we're in now, this is not an efficient process.
Let me ask you a question with regards to that.
Okay?
Why do you think we have a high turnover rate?
Well, for multiple reasons, and I'm not 100% sure of all of it. Part of it is we just came out of the pandemic, and so wages have changed. You got the inflation, so people are jumping here and there. I think we have failed to meet some of the employees' needs. There's a generational thing that maybe we're not, getting a grasp of.
What do you mean by that?
Because a younger generation, they'll embrace this and think this is great, and I think that we have this idea that we have to accommodate everybody. I think and I think you do, but I think we haven't done that. I think there's issues here that I don't even know about, because when you have a consistent turnover rate in one department, that tells me there's an internal issue. Some things are based on compensation. I'm not convinced that's always the case. Compensation is important. They get you in the door, but it won't keep you here. So there's a lot of issues I think that's involved. I think the way we recruit is not effective. It should be social media all the way. We should be recruiting constantly with the rate that we're going. We don't wait till the position needs to be filled. We need to have a pool of people, so if we need it, we can pull them in. Now, I know that's a little different for a county or the public sector, but there's just things that we're always behind. We're always getting behind the game. And so then when you're in a crunch, you hire anybody to fill that place because you got to have them. But training turnover is very expensive. Now, I can't tell you exactly how much, but it costs an organization a lot of money if we're coming in the front door and going out the back. And it happens all the time.
Well, for my money, that to me is the problem we need to look at as opposed to a new system. If we've got a department that has high turnover, we've got a problem. If we're not recruiting, we've got a problem. If we're having training issues, people coming in, going out, we've got a problem. And for me, I would rather correct the root of the problem as opposed to trying to fix a system problem that we don't know, that we know is not going to correct those problems. We're still going to have those issues.
But the system will help report. When you look at data, I can sit up here and tell you what I think it is, but when you start looking at the data and you start pinpointing where your problems are, you can address it specifically. We're trying to put Band-Aids on a very general area. I can't provide that information to you because I have no way of reporting it.
You can. It's a phone call to Payroll Solutions, and you tell them what you need, and they send it to you pretty quickly. You absolutely can do that. And I think that you need to understand that you're putting a lot of the work on yourself that you could put on them.
I don't need them to do it for me. It doesn't help me when these guys call and say, hey, I need this file when I come in.
But that's what we're paying for. We're paying for them to take care of us, and they will do it. And they'll do it quickly, and they'll do it properly. And I appreciate that you want to do it. That's okay. But I just want you to understand that you can get them to do more.
Well, these are a couple of, when we went through this with them a year ago, and we said we're gonna keep trying. These are a couple of reports I asked him, just format reports that's easy, new hire, termination, and pay rate. So they did that for me, and I wanted to run off a copy, and I'm not trying to bash them.
I understand.
Don't,
I understand.
misunderstand. Would you like a copy, sir? Dad, with that citation? So the new hire report I ran off
Thank
the
you.
other day, and I just said, give me your new hire reports for August. And that's the information I got. These are basic reports that I specifically asked for them to format so I can go to it any time. It's very helpful to Alicia or whoever's doing the retirement to know who's on and who came off. The next page is the termination report. If you look at that, that's not the information that I need.
Would you say that, that the ADP platform, Janet, from what I gather it does, but I guess you need to confirm for us for certain, the ADP platform is much more interactive with respect to the insurance benefits, and we've just been all through that
Yes.
ordeal the last couple of years, a year and a half or so. So would you say in terms of not just onboarding and offboarding new employees and guys that have just quit and so forth, but it's also for the longer term employees, it's going to help. And I assume that's something maybe Payroll Solutions just can't quite do for us. Is that right?
Well, Payroll Solutions does not offer that platform.
Okay.
Yeah. I did ask Stuart, and he sent you an email. Stuart sent you an
Yes.
email on it? Okay. They don't offer it. They offer to put in the deductions after I don't need that. The deductions, that's the easy part. I appreciate their willingness, and I get what Travis is saying. But it's just a flawed system for our size. If it was if we were smaller, if our issues were less, I think it would be okay. But I think for the place that we're in, the concerns that we're facing, it doesn't work efficiently.
Another thing that you're going to get into here is you're going to create a lot of work for the employees. And I am not a fan of making an employee work to get paid. I have seen that myself because I'm on that system you just talked about across the street. And I work my tail off to get paid. And that's not a good thing. I shouldn't have to do that. I should put my work into what I'm doing, not trying to get my paycheck. You're going to create a lot of work for the employees, and you're also going to lose a lot of the personal touch. I think it's important that you have a human being that sits down with them and helps them through the process, and I know you're willing to do that. I'm not saying that, but you're trying to take some of that away from them. And I think it's important that they come in, they fill out paperwork, they hand it to you, and they know it's in good hands, they know it's taken care of, and they can get out there and get to work. They're going to have to sit in front of their phone and try to figure it out. And I promise you we have employees that don't want to do that. I promise you.
And I agree with you, and that's why I say we don't cut them off. But this is the generational issue I was talking about. Most people, most younger employees don't want that. They want to be able to plug it in. They don't want to come in and meet with HR. HR is just the old lady in the office. They're going to tell me I messed up. They don't want to talk to me. They want to be able to do it on their phone and move on. It's a generational thing, and that's the workforce that we're pulling from.
Question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not. You're talking about generation. What's the average age of an employee? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. Now, if I can run a report, I can.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I knew you were going to say that before I asked the question. So I knew that was going to be the answer. Let me go run this report.
There's a segue.
But my point was being, I don't know what the average age is. I know some, like Travis said, some of the older employees, you're never going to get them to enter that stuff. And I don't know how many employees that would be.
Well, I'm saying we're in a younger workforce.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. If they want to work.
You look at the road department and the fire department, they need strong people. I'm not saying that as you get older, you're not as strong. Don't misunderstand. But you're pulling from a younger workforce. The jail, not just anybody can go over there and be a deputy jailer. It takes specific skills.
That's where a whole lot of your turnover is too.
That is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Exactly.
There's something it's not quite sure what that is, what's going on, how I can help, but I know that they have to fill those seats, and I get it. I'm not debating that at all.
Question,
And they've
Jen.
been very efficient, very effective using the onboard platform with the jail. I would be in a mess if I hadn't had that part of it.
But if I'm understanding this correctly, really there's no extra burden that's put on our current employees, because ultimately all they're gonna be doing is clocking in and out, whether it be through the time clock or the app. So that's not creating more work for them. The only new work is gonna be created is for the new hires that come in. Instead of them coming in and filling out all the paperwork, they're gonna be able to do it online.
Correct.
And, I mean, just last night, I had to take my son to the orthodontics today, and I called them up, and what did they do? They sent me all the forms digitally. That's the way society's going, is all digital.
And I'll just.
You don't fill paper documents out
Payroll
anymore.
Solutions has offered that. It's been very effective. I won't lie. I mean, I'll be honest with you. But I'm not looking at I think Payroll Solutions has limited function. I'm looking for a comprehensive.
And it looks like, and I've seen that system before, that we're kind of using HR is the Excel platform. And I mean, the gentleman that wrote it was very intelligent in the way that he wrote it, but the problem with Excel programs is if one of the cells gets changed, it throws everything off all the way through it, and the reporting from the Excel is very minimal. And I've asked for reports from that Excel, and you get a log of everything that's happened over the last 30 years, and you have to go through and decipher it. So regardless, I think that we need to upgrade from Excel to a platform which is going to encompass everything together with the push of a button. Because if that computer goes down and it gets encrypted or something like that, all that data is going to be gone.
Right.
You know, it may be.
And this breaks it down. We can access the full reporting when we have to kind of go in, when we change the accrual rates, we have to go in manually adjust that because that's all put up in the program.
And all of this data will now be, instead of being based on a local server here, it'll be on a cloud-based where they are responsible for all the backups and everything, so we don't have to perform those backups.
I say this, and it isn't lost on me that every meeting we seem to be hiring 2 or 3 new firefighters, 2 or 3 new road department employees, and it's the same with my business too. Turnover, I think, is, not that it has anything to do with this discussion, but I think it's high because it's just so easy for people to go out and find another job. They get mad over the slightest little thing, or grass is always greener on the other side. They go find another job tomorrow, today. So it's hard to recruit. It's hard to have people on standby that are waiting for you to get ready for them because they've already found 2 other jobs by the time you get to them. We struggle with that as well. But couple of questions, Janet. You may have answered them. When would you want to see the change over the switch? If we should vote to change, when would you?
We'll make a decision tonight. Tomorrow we'll make some phone calls. My goal is to have the time system, if we move to ADP, to have the time system up and running and functional and good shape by the end of the year. So whenever the new court comes in, they won't have to listen to me talk to them about the payroll provider. I'm giving them a break.
So your goal would be a January 1 start date?
Yeah, and now, we will have, again, and that it will be some perfecting along the way. That 6 months is gonna be a key element. But once I get the supervisors on board and we get the time system streamlined and we're good, and I'm gonna say that we will need to change with whoever we stay with. I think we're gonna have to change your payroll periods. Because the way we do time now is done manually for the most part. We're actually paying people before they actually do the work. Because we do, it ends on a Tuesday. So they turn in their time sheets or however, whatever they turn it in, and I process payroll at 6 o'clock on Wednesday morning. So I'm assuming that they work, and I'm assuming that they didn't, that the supervisor kind of adjusts the next pay period. But that's a flawed system.
It is. I've done that
Yeah.
very thing, and I've made that very change, and you have to be careful, and during that changeover, you're going to find that you have some people that literally live paycheck to paycheck, and they can't go without one for a week. So you're going to have to either do some sort of loan system ahead of time. And I don't know if county government can even do that, but in a private industry, that's exactly what I did. I did a loan system and then paid it back over a year's time to get everybody back where they were supposed to be. And we lost some money doing that because we didn't get all the money paid back we're supposed to, or people decided to quit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. How long would the contract be should we decide to go with ADP? How long is it? Is it a 1-year contract
So
or?
it's a 3-year lock. So I asked him, I said, if we go above the 149, because that's the soft spot with ADP. Once you get 150, kind of 160, things change. He said for 3 years, regardless of your numbers, we stay at that.
So it's
At
thir-
that cost. But do we have an option to get out of that contract if the service is not what we agreed to?
That's what I was worried about, the term.
I would think there's any option to get out if we're not happy. I would think that we could get out, but I can't say that for sure. No, I won't say that for sure. I don't think they're gonna, you know.
Is that something that the county attorney should look at, as this contract you're proposing? I mean, because there may be some loopholes that we can't abide by because we're a government. By mentioning it, is there any other counties that we know of that's using ADP besides Bardstown, Nelson County?
There's multiple counties. I just talked to.
You just talked to that one.
Yeah, because I needed to find one that had a functional fire department.
got you. I got you.
Yeah, I would suggest that we do allow the county attorney to examine that agreement pretty closely because I know some of those things can be very hard to get out of if we should decide we need to for whatever reason. You feel like, Janet, that you have exhausted all avenues with Payroll Solutions to get the reporting that you need, the level of service that you need? I guess that's a yes or no question.
That's a yes. I regret it. I like students.
Understand, I understand, I'm just looking for, if you feel like you exhausted all avenues, yes. Seems like it's gonna be considerably higher if we should go with ADP over Payroll Solutions, and it looks like a mid-year start date, mid-fiscal year start date. Where would the additional, expenses come from in our budget? Have we,
Well, we budgeted 20,000 for payroll.
I knew we did, is that enough? And I think it is.
I think it is, and then we have to budget just a little bit more next fiscal year because it's just a little bit over the 20.
So,
Then you don't have the implementation fee, but it's gonna still be about $500, $600 over the 20 that we budgeted.
and there are 52 payrolls, that, because you broke it down as, average cost for ADP is $330 per payroll, and there are
26.
26 payrolls. Okay, so then my numbers are off a little. So it's about $12,000 a year more for ADP.
16.
And the $20,000 would be more than sufficient to cover that. Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Any other questions?
Okay, questions? Now's your time.
Sounds like we just need to continue to the next meeting and
Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
Is
the
that,
county attorney would review
get
the,
you a copy of the contract to look over? Okay, can we get, we'll get him a copy and
Okay.
take it up in our, October
that'd be my
meeting?
thought.
Okay.
Right.
I think, yeah, I mean, I just don't, the 3-year lock, if it locks us in for 3 years,
I think she was locking the price in for 3 years,
I think
yeah.
so too, but I think I need to be clarified, you know, that we do have an option to get out and we're not locked into services for 3 years.
Yeah, I would
If something goes bad or something like that.
I would much prefer a 1-year contract, even with the 2 options to renew, if we should try to do that. I'd hate to lock the county government into any 3-year contract. We didn't have to.
Is that a question you could ask? the
Oh, I
80
can ask, yes.
And give us, if we consider this at the October 12 meeting, then you can give us the answer to that as well?
If we, or get a formal agreement, I mean, I'm of the point, I don't have any problems with the car provider or anything.
It's not-
But ultimately,
I didn't think so.
you are the one that handles the day-to-day operations, and, you know, you have to use an Excel program that's been here for probably, I don't know, 10 years maybe?
Probably at least 2.
You know, 10 years, which is outdated, and I take to heart your recommendation. I mean, you do it on a day-to-day basis, and I mean, if you feel like this was, I'm willing to give it a try. It's just a matter of how long do we have to commit to that try, in case, like Magistrate Thompson said here, if they're selling something that they can't guarantee. And, you know, that's always a possibility with any contractor that we use for any type of service. I mean, the city's going through it, but obviously they haven't been with them, I think, a full year.
Yeah, 9 months.
9 months, and they're gonna be making, so they have an option. And I think we will
Yeah.
too, but if we can just get that in writing, I think it makes a lot easier decision.
Yeah, my main concern is I would like to know from the county attorney what the contract would obligate us to. And I guess that's it, what we would be obligated to per the contract.
It's obvious to me that the first thing we need to do is to correct this lag time and turning in your payroll and getting paid. If you turn in your payroll on Monday, you get paid the next Monday. That, to me, is one of the most important things we need to change immediately, if we do nothing at all. And then we need to address this turnover and recruiting and training, and that's a whole nother ball of wax as well. But for sure, we need to start and to create some sort of lag time on this turning in your payroll and getting paid the next day. That's just, that's unheard of, and that needs to be
I
corrected.
think kind of what we talked about is maybe doing an end in the pay period on a Friday and getting paid for the following Friday.
Yeah.
So we can stay with the Friday payday, but during that time, you're gonna have a few days that, I'm not talking about changing pay periods or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a few days that you're gonna.
That you'll have a lapse in.
I do agree with Magistrate Blanton, that does need to be corrected no matter what we do.
You're right.
And that may cause a need for some creative thinking and some, probably pretty in-depth conversations with the county attorney as to what you can do and can't do, but,
And I've mentioned that before. I think we've all talked about
We've
this
talked about it
before,
before.
about the payroll, the way it's due. It's the pay period ends and then payroll's due the next day, and it gives them no time for errors or corrections and so forth, and it causes a big mess. Now, the issue is going to be is when you go to the true biweekly system where you work 2 weeks and get paid the following week, there's going to be a lag of time. So you may have to do a special payroll, but I'm not for taking money away from the employees.
no,
Even if we have to do some type of compensation or something to get us onto that program, we need to make that change eventually.
don't disagree. One thing that will create high turnover is not paying the,
But you know what I mean?
You think?
But I don't want somebody to have to wait 3 weeks to get a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't do
That's
that.
not- that's not-
We
that's
can't
not
do that,
fair.
I agree. I wouldn't vote for anything that would cause that to happen, so.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
The next meeting,
You
October
waited this
12th.
long, right?
It will-
What's 2 more weeks?
But next meeting and have a conversation with the county attorney.
With regard to, if we, and then we'll make the ask to ADP if they can give us a 1-year or 2-year options or something.
Right, and.
Two 1-year.
Add on to that, if you all don't know that you don't want to switch and you're gonna stay with the resolution, I need some directions on how this needs to be done. This system is a flawed system, it doesn't work anymore, and whether you wanna go with ADP or not, we still have a problem on this side.
Regardless, you're gonna have to purchase a system because you've got to get rid of that Excel program, in my personal opinion.
Mine as well.
So it's whether you put them all in one or you buy a separate system and have payroll solutions and another system to do your internal HR stuff.
Thank you, Janet.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Janet.
Janet.
Appreciate your work
All
on
right.
it.
Okay. Moving right along, we have Julie Maruskin with the library. Julie, we'll invite you forward. You have the floor.
Thank you. It's nice to see you all tonight.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. This is the annual presentation for the selection of the tax rates. And on August the 23rd, the Board of Trustees went with a 5.2 real property rate and a 9.36 personal property rate. And to give you some idea of where we are with that, the last time that we had a 5.2 rate in real property was 1990, well, I'm sorry, that was 2007. In 1995, we had a 5.9 and a 5.9 rate. So that gives you some idea of where we are historically. And that, because the library is now in a very stable financial position, we will be able to maintain that unless something other than a massive pandemic happens again, or something else we don't see. We should be able to maintain this at a rate of at least a decade going forward. So, but I see so many of you that are regular library attendees and users, and I know that a lot of you give us great word of mouth, PR, so I thank you all for making space on your agenda for me to do this and for your support all through the year. It's next month is my 25th year of working at the library here, and it has been such a blessed and interesting 25 years, so thank you guys.
Julie, I just want to say thank you for you and your board's hard work. I mean, you all are providing a great service, and I think you've established a good surplus, and you continue to decrease your tax rate by a little bit each month, but still providing outstanding services to the community. I know my wife burns the library up.
She does.
quite
I
a
wasn't
bit.
going to out her, but yeah.
She wears it out and really loves it, but you all have done a really good job with managing your funds, and you're one of the only taxing districts that we have in the community that's lowered it, I think, 4 straight years. And
We have actually lowered it,
And more than that,
is
hasn't
it more than that?
going back to,
7.
oh my goodness, 2000, we've lowered it every year since 2016. So we haven't taken we've taken alternative rates since 2015. And we did take 2 alternative rates prior to that as well that were lower than compensating. So it's a good place to be, and part of that was the foresight of trustees going back well before me in the creation of the building that's now at 370 South Burns. And it is, again, it's a community effort, and I have not worked in a community like this before that is so responsive to a public library. And I have worked in several other, and with a lot of other Kentucky public libraries, and I'm always so proud of our community and what we do. And I will tell you one thing, and thank you for your indulgence. We are the hub for a now 12 county seed library. So I purchase and broker seeds so that I can get bulk rate and quality seeds that dovetail with partnerships with the extension offices, the health department. But we do this as a consortium in 12 counties. And this year, based on a very, very small estimate, essentially, if people grew out a packet of beans, which is 15 feet, it's about 6 pounds of beans if you're, not the best gardener in the world. If they grew 3 tomatoes, if they grew 3 packets of greens and 1 packet of pollinator attractive floral or herb, we give 30 packets of seed so people can grow out approximately 1/3 of an acre if they choose to do so. Our cost, because we broker in bulk for this many counties, drops significantly, and so we're able to give an entire Victory Garden packet along with the instructions and reference backup. We tag people into resources in the health department. We tag people back to the health department and all of the other resources. We do this with the schools. We do this with the farmers market, and so it's truly a community-wide organization. But based on that very, very low estimate, we had such a good response to it that we are estimated to have put $243,000 in fresh food this year on the tables of Clark Countyans. The consortium put an estimated $5 million at fair market value in fresh food. Now, we didn't go out and do the work for anybody, but this does take into account some of the water bills and some of the fertilizer bills. And I did run those numbers over and over and over again. I've run the numbers for 25 years because that's how long we've done plant programs, teaching primarily adults how to grow their own food and tying them into our collection at the library and other resources that we have. So that's something that, quite frankly, I'm very, very proud of. And that was 12% of our revenue last year, before people used anything else. So, and I thank you guys for supporting that kind of program. Obviously, we do much, much more, but that's something that we have we found very beneficial. We see people who've never been in the library. We see people who come in who are functionally illiterate, and then they find out that we have resources that they can use. I had 2 older gentlemen just prior to the pandemic who came in and they said, we're here for the seed library, and they were in their 70s, and they said they were Clark County residents who had never set foot in any of our libraries. And I said, how can I help you? They said, honey, we're here for the seeds. I said, okay. And I said, would you like to make a choice? We have order forms where people could choose. And they looked at each other and said, honey, we left our glasses at home. And I'm from Harlan. My parents are from Harlan County, and I know that's code for I can't read. And I said, I'll read it out for you. And they turned around and they said, what's all those movies over there? And I said, those are for anybody who's got a library card. They said, so we can check those out. We've seen them every 2 weeks since then, so. And they always come in for their seeds, and they do take seed catalogs home too, so. But that's one of my favorite stories from that. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, the only thing I can grow is weeds.
Me
But,
too.
but I was in the history room again today, and every time I go, I stumble across something that I wasn't even looking for. That makes me want to go back again, so that's really a great resource.
Well, thank you. We're so proud to have that archive as well, so especially with the museum here, we dovetail nicely. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to hush up now so you can get on with your business. And
Thank
we're
you.
trying to sleep.
Thank you, John.
Master Blanton, did you say weed or weeds?
Oh, crabgrass. How about crabgrass?
Better.
How about crabgrass? Crabgrass.
I don't hear too well.
I'll correct that. It's not weeds, it's crabgrass.
It's crabgrass. Good choice of words. Next, we have our second reading of the zoning ordinance amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Make a motion by Magistrate Blanton, second by Magistrate Elkins. Discussion.
Just my two comments I have made on before. I think the square footage needs to be increased to 864 and.
To 864.
And then I really think it needs to be in Article 9 as opposed to definitions. But I will support this, but I'll make those two comments. They need to really go back and look this CAF again, in my opinion. But the city's already approved it, so I see no harm in us doing it, but I really think they need to look at it again.
Well, do you want to make an amendment to change the square footage?
I'll just go with it since the city's already approved it. And
But didn't Mr. Jeffries even say maybe 33% of the original structure or something of that nature? I mean, I agree with Magistrate Blanton that it needs to be increased. And I'd like to do it even before we approve the second reading, if you can do that.
But the city would have to go back and do it again too, so. And it may or may not be an issue, it's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you. It needs to increase. I think 800's a little
Too
short of what,
restrictive.
too restrictive.
Well, let's change it in hours and let the city follow suit. 875
Or 900.
or 900. Yeah, 900 is a good number. Needs to be north of what, 864?
Well, 864 you can justify, 900 you just pull another number out of the air.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just
I mean-
needs to be greater than 864. I mean,
Well, 864 is your standard garage size.
I get it, that's what I said, it
Yeah.
needs to be greater than.
Okay, I see what you're
863 is not enough.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Give you a little wiggle room.
Right.
So is that going to be your changed motion to?
I don't want to be the stick in the mud, I'll let somebody else make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
You want to amend the motion?
I'll amend the motion to 900.
We got a motion and a second on the floor.
I'll withdraw that motion.
Okay. We can withdraw, and Greg, you'll withdraw your
I'll withdraw my second.
second, okay. Okay, now we're open for motion.
I would move to amend the building size from, it's now 800, I believe, to 900 square feet.
900. Is, Robert, are you okay with that? You
Oh,
said.
he made the motion.
Okay,
And I would second that motion.
okay. We have 900. All right, we have a motion by Davis and a second by Elkins. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next, we have second reading of our local ABC ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Blanton,
Second.
second by Magistrate Davis. Discussion?
I've heard positive comments since we've done this from several people who've been, well, they thought the residence was in the county, but someone was in the city.
Yeah.
And they said, y'all approve that? I said, yeah, well, but I think it's a good thing, so,
I think we've got 3 this will affect, so.
yeah, that's what I told them.
Other discussion?
Is the city taking it up yet?
They approved the city attorney preparing an ordinance, and that theirs will be from 11 to
That's right.
11 to 11, 11 to 10,
11 to 10.
11 to 10. But it should be on their next agenda.
Okay, anything
I
else?
still think they ought to be uniform if they're going to be changed, so that's my opinion.
I think we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
I hear two noes, Constantopoulos and Elkins. Thank you all. Next, we have second reading of our Keiko lease ordinance.
Motion approved.
Motion by Constantopoulos, second by Elkins. Discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a litter abatement grant.
So moved.
Second.
This is an application, isn't it, Alan? Is that what this is?
Yeah, you just sign it, they give you what they're gonna give you.
We don't know how much that will be.
I think it's like
Yeah.
38 or something.
Oh, I thought I heard Greg. Did you make a
I
motion?
seconded, yeah.
Who made the
No,
motion?
you made the first, I made the
That's
second.
right, yeah, yeah. You are correct. I did.
Motion by Elkins, second by Constantopoulos. Okay, discussion. I should have done that first, Alan, I'm sorry. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a resolution adopting our solid waste management plan
So moved.
by Magistrate Davis,
Second.
second by Magistrate Thompson. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a resolution on our flex program funding and authorization for me to sign it.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis,
Second.
second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a hire order for Danny Hall at the Clark County Road Department.
Motion approved.
Motion by Constantopoulos.
Second.
Second by Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next would be an order of Thomas Stanfield as part-time firefighter.
Motion approved.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Davis. Any discussion?
One piece of just one comment, and Chief, just a quick answer. Are we gonna rotate any of these off? 'Cause I know we've hired a bunch of, or are you just building up a group of people that you can pull from?
Trying to build up so we've hired those ones we had built up from. They're now full-time employees. Now we're trying to build up the part-time list.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, gosh, where am I? Chris King? Okay, new hire Chris King as part-time firefighter.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Elkins, second by Constantopoulos. Discussion.
I just noticed the hire date is,
Oops.
on these have all been September 14th. And I just would prefer
Okay.
they be after our meeting, but I'll vote for them.
So is that right? Is that what we're gonna do, Harold?
I had actually submitted those names for the last one. I think I left off.
So we do want to hire them as of the 14th?
I'm sorry.
We do want to hire them as of the
They have
14th?
not worked a day yet. So you can hire them today and it makes no difference.
Janet, we.
I don't work them till after they are hired.
Yeah, we saying it's for today.
Okay. So even if we make it effective the 14th, they're not going to work, so.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
And it's better not to put them in if they haven't worked. They really shouldn't, the hire date should be the first day that they work.
Might change their mind, won't they, Janet?
But they. They can defer them any time. For me, from a payroll HR perspective, it's when they actually work.
Okay.
The retirement is the same way also, just,
That's the day you plug them in, regardless of what this says.
Right, no matter what the
Okay.
order says.
Ours will be the first day they work.
I got you.
So for that, it's
Approval date and effective date's two different things to you.
We can change the status. That status form is, that's what's on the status form. So if you want to call it approved versus effective, I have no problem with that. That's just the form.
Okay. So we should have no problem if I make the effective date today.
Correct.
either
I do.
more than 14.
Magistrates, are you all okay with that on all these orders?
That's fine.
Yes,
Today's date?
yeah.
Okay. So we're good. I just want to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. Okay.
Sorry I brought it up.
Oh, no, it needed to be brought up. Thank you. Okay, then who do we want?
Chris King.
Chris King, okay. And it would be effective today. We've got a motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have order for Jacob Clark, part-time firefighter, effective today.
Motion.
Most approved.
Motion by Constantopoulos, second by Blanton. Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Did that get us all? Okay. All right. Thank you. We listed on our agenda discussion about a check received, and I'm not sure if we're ready to have that conversation now. Alicia, do you have the, did we circulate that document?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Judge, I think it is, for fit public, discussion in terms of the letter and the reasons that I would recommend that the fiscal court reject it.
Okay.
The agreement that provides for the relationship between the Bluegrass Community Foundation and the Clark Fiscal Court and its subfund, says that the fiscal court designate the purposes of the use of the funds, and it was designated to be charitable and educational. Now, when you look at the charitable definition and think about the recitation of it in here that Magistrate Davis has given us several times, it is much broader than it sounds like on its face, to include lessening the burden on government. That would include even building perhaps a separate agency for the purpose of providing services to the community. And then, of course, it also says educational purposes. And after much back and forth, the transmittal letter, among less obvious problems, if we needed to identify just one, says exclusively for charitable purposes. The writer, Kristen Tidwell, who is well aware of the interpretations that I've offered for this contract, knows that there is no such limitation to just charitable fund purposes. And there's also no provision in the contract that would allow Bluegrass Community Foundation to place additional conditions precedent on the court in exchange for its money. In other words, we've read the 1998 agreement, but unless you do A, B, and C also, you can't have your money. That wasn't the deal. And so if they want to make a new deal, there has to be a new benefit. We wouldn't be required under the law to honor a new promise that wasn't in exchange for value. It's called consideration. That's what binds contracts. So they're just simply trying to impose a unilateral condition precedent on this court over its money. And the reality is that if you look at the 106907 that they issued the check for today, and you look at just how effective Bluegrass Community Foundation has been, and I wasn't top of my class in math, but I can say with some assurance that looks like our $2 million gained 6.9% interest last year. That resulted in the 106907, which they've now held for 3/4 of the year. The passive increase on that money is $5,532. So every year they continue to take more money that belongs to the fiscal court and keep it for themselves on decisions I don't think you'll find in the board minutes of the Bluegrass Community Foundation. I don't think that the Bluegrass Community Foundation, they're either not aware that this is going on, or they're not aware that we're asking for the minutes because they're not being provided. So I have asked Counsel Haley Cunningham for Bluegrass Community Foundation, unless she unilaterally holds the authority to impress these condition precedents on the court, to show me the official minutes of the Bluegrass Community Foundation where these limitations were made or suggested. I've not received any of those. So I think the water runs deeper here than it looks like on the surface, and I think that discussion should lead us into a closed session at some point to talk about what our litigation issues might be with the Bluegrass Community Foundation.
Okay. Thank you, Weed. Do y'all have any questions with regard to?
I've got a bunch, but
Yeah.
but I'll say this: I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the county attorney to reject depositing the check.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to reject depositing the check by Magistrate Constantopoulos.
Second.
Second by Magistrate Graham. Discussion on that action.
I assume you're rejecting the check because of the letter that was attached that want us to sign a new agreement. Is that what you're suggesting?
Essentially, they've offered the check in constructive trust. That's a legal term of art. which becomes, the terms of that trust become final upon us depositing the check. It's tantamount to
So
our
the-
legal agreement.
So the two are connected then? You
Correct.
couldn't accept a check and say, and send the agreement back and say, this is our money regardless, now work on your agreement?
You could take that position, but they'd bring that constructive trust legal theory to haunt you.
Okay, but it's actually the proposed new agreement we're talking about, not the money. Okay.
All right.
That was my question.
And I want you to know that I've offered, through discussions with the foundation, the notion that they could include any term, or all terms in that 1998 agreement in that letter in exchange for us taking a deposit in that check. But they won't do that.
I
They
got you.
continue to
I got
use
you.
their own language.
I got you.
So,
Okay, does everyone understand the question? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Now, we do have on our agenda an adjourn to closed session with regard to litigation.
Motion to go to closed session.
Motion by Magistrate Cox.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute.
Judge, before you make that motion, and I think it's proper, but I think we have a second legal issue that we need to talk about in
Oh.
closed session relating to quiet title action on Old Stone Church Road.
Okay, that
I
would,
think we ought.
so we're gonna have two matters.
Go for that reason.
Okay, we're gonna have two matters for closed session, Magistrate Constable. Motion,
I'm in my motion to that, yes.
okay, and,
Second.
and a second by Davis.
Second that.
Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We will adjourn to closed session. We will return to open session before we adjourn our fiscal court meeting. Thank you.